Starting off with regular reviews after Computex, and we're having here the first product that was actually presented on Computex. This is HydroShift II. This is HydroShift II from Lian, and well, it kind of has a bit better tubing if you compare it to HydroShift 1, because if you take a look a bit closer, it's really nicely hidden, and you have a clip at the back that is somewhat modular, which gives you an option to regulate the distance with screws actually at the back, the distance of the clips that hold the tubes at the top right here at the back. So this is actually brilliant because it gives you a possibility to regulate the tubing and how they will be stretched out in terms of being hidden and having a proper way of placing it back down. Now they use their, let's say, so-called wireless technology, so you don't have any cables running out of the pump. So this is brilliantly designed in terms of all the cables that you need to connect are hidden right at the edge, right over there where the tubing is. And then you have one PWM with 2 cables, one PWM with 4 cables, and one USB 2.0. Now this AIO gives you an option to connect it in a 3 different way. You have the wireless connection with the USB dongle, you have USB 2.0 connection, and you have an offline mode, which means that you only need to connect those 2 PWM headers. You don't need to use the USB 2.0. Now let's go through some details so I'll give you a bit of a more idea about everything. So we're having 2.1-inch round IPS LCD display, which has 480 times 480 resolution, 500 nits brightness, and 60 Hz refresh rate. As I stated, we have an offline mode, wireless, and USB streaming. In terms of options for this AIO, because this isn't the only AIO that you'll have possibility to check out, we have HydroShift II LCD C360 TL black and white. Then we have the HydroShift II LCD C360 CL black and white, and HydroShift II LCD C360N, which is fanless, also coming in black and white. When they say almost tubeless, they really did that, because you don't see, comparing it to HydroShift 1, you don't see the tubes being bent in an awkward way. Even though the HydroShift 1 was designed immaculate and you had the option to hide the tubes, this is actually quite cleaner. I do have to admit, the design of the tubing and how it goes at the back and how it stretches to the top back side of the radiator and everything all together, it's really nicely designed, basically giving us a perfect alignment to the pump. You have 3 tube management scenarios. One of those is ample clearance. The second one is moderate clearance. And the third one is tight clearance. So what we have right here is scenarios. The first scenario goes for O11 Vision Compact in top mesh mode. Then we have O11 Evo RGB and Lancel 217, as I am using here. Then we have 216 for the second scenario and 207 for the third one. Compatibility is improved, so we're having thickness of the radiator minus 3 millimeters, so that's 24. The length is 400, that's also 3 millimeters. And then the white is 122, which is minus 2.5 millimeters, which means that this AIO widens the compatibility. Comparing the pump from HydroShift 1 to HydroShift 2, we have the HydroShift 1 going up to 3200 RPMs compared to 2, which is from 2000 to 2450, and the noise level is down by 1.5 decibels, so that's from 22 to 20.5. As I mentioned, for the connection, how you need to connect it is we have 2 PWM cables, one is 2-pin and one is 4-pin, and USB 2.0. Now, one thing that I would like to mention, and this kind of bugged me because I connected everything properly, right? I tried the wireless at the back with the USB dongle, I tried connecting only PWM fans, I tried connecting PWM fans and USB 2.0, and I couldn't get the fans to light up. Now, this might not happen to you, but it happened to me, and I want to give you an idea. So what you can do is, if for some strange reason you want to go without USB 2.0, or you basically don't have any empty USB 2.0s on your motherboard, you can detach that cable if it's just dangling around and making a mess for your cable management. Now, you can open the side part over there, which is a cover where all the cables and tubes are, And this gives you an option to detach the USB 2.0. But also there is the connection for the fans. Now in my scenario, it got loosened up a bit, partially maybe shipping or whatever happened, but this is why it didn't light up, because the connection wasn't fully attached to the fan and it didn't have proper contact, so they were spinning quite low, and basically that's the reason why in that scenario my CPU went up really high with the thermals. And yeah, that was really strange, but fixing it is quite easy and straightforward. This might not happen to you, I do have to point out, but just giving you ideas so you don't get confused like I did yesterday. And I was really actually doing this for a couple of hours, and yeah, I should have checked the connection right. Now we have a unique mounting mechanism for the pump block top. Now, usually what you do is, and basically everything is the same, you have the same retention brackets. You have to remove the original retention brackets from the AMD 4 screws, take out the retention brackets, place 2 new retention brackets directly from the Lian inside the accessory box. And what you do and what you have to do is basically when placing thermal paste, you do need to use spatula to spread it around. In the video, what you see from up close, this is what I didn't do, but regardless of that, I fixed it later on. So, when you're placing the pump block top, and this is why you have to spread the thermal paste on the processor, you're basically sliding the pump block top inside those retention brackets. So you have 2 hinges, one on top and one at the bottom, that slide into those retention brackets and keep the pump block top almost fixated above the processor. And after that, you use 4 thumb screws where you basically tie up the mounting and retention mechanism to the motherboard and those retention brackets. That's basically all there is to it. First, of course, you do have to place the radiator on top, fixate it, and then do everything all together. And of course, depending on the scenarios, what I mentioned earlier. Later on, you're connecting those 2 PWM headers, which always need to be connected. And then depending on what you want to do, if you want to go with wireless, you remove the USB 2.0 cable, you place the wireless dongle at the back, or simply just use USB 2.0. For the offline mode, if you go without USB 2.0 and you just want to connect those PWM fans, you can control the visual aspect when we're talking about RGB and the presets without even going to your computer. So what you have to do is rotate the pump block top to the left to change the color scheme, and it's really straightforward. You're just rotating it. You have a distinctive click, which actually sounds quite all right. And then if you want to change the preset, you rotate it on the right, and this gives you loads of options for you to change. In the wireless mode, you have the option to go without USB 2.0, but you're going with 2.4G wireless transmission, and you're connecting that USB dongle. And in there you have screen advanced settings. And when you go with USB 2.0, you have USB streaming mode, which gives you full customizability through the USB connection, enabling you guys, or me at this certain point, to unlock advanced personalization options like team information, modular assets, and templates, because you can create your own. So basically, do it yourself. In the offline mode, you have the option for 13 presets. You have water temperature, pump RPMs, and fan lighting presets. That's all. For the wireless mode, you have all of those, and CPU monitoring, GPU, RAM, sensor looping, quick lightning sync, and that's it. But with the wireless mode with screen advanced settings, you additionally get system monitoring, custom layout, custom backgrounds, L-Connect screen capture recording, secondary screen, and additional templates. This also goes for the USB streaming mode. And now finally for some specifications. Now you already know it comes in black and white, 2.1-inch IPS display with 480 times 480 pixels, 500 nits screen brightness, 88 times 88 times 89 millimeters of block dimensions. Pump speed is from 2000 to 2400 RPMs. The radiator dimensions are 400 times 122 times 24 single wave aluminum with tube length at 480 or 470 millimeters. Fan dimensions are 120, 120, 28 RPMs, 0 and 200 to 2200. 3.0 millimeters H2O for the static pressure, and for the airflow 72 CFM. with 6-year warranty. I do have to admit that kind of shocked me, but it's quite interesting. Of course, when you're done mounting everything, I totally forgot to mention that you have this plastic rim on the side that you just cover off those thumb screws, so it really does have a clean look. Now, let's go to the benchmarks, and this is quite interesting because what I got here, and when we go with the AGST64 Extreme Edition, now this time I'm using 9950 X3D. CPU went up to 68 degrees with the clock speed 4995 megahertz. You compare it with Liquid Freezer 3 on 85 degrees, Galahad 2 Lite at 78, and Valkyr A360 at 74. I think that's outstanding score. And of course, the higher the temperature, the lower the clock speed. You can see everything in the charts. Now going with Cinebench R23. The temperatures are 64.9, clock speed 4952, and the score is 40,876. Liquid Freezer 3, 77.7 with 4,897. Then we have the score is 40,764. And basically the only one that actually beats it, but only in scores, is Valkyrie A360 and beats it only by 150, 130, 140, I would say. So what I can say is it looks great. It looks great in terms of hiding the tubes. I'm really digging the design. Another cool feature is the offline mode, because I know some of you guys have only one USB 2.0 and it's already preoccupied either with some sort of a fan hub or addressable RGB or whatever you're running inside your PC, so I won't go into that. But most likely majority of the boards have either one or two USB 2.0, and even those two USB 2.0 are already preoccupied. So if you want to have a cooler that basically can work normally, but you still don't have that space for USB 2.0, you can simply just connect it as it is. Now, when we're talking about wireless, if you have already wireless, you can just put the same dongle as you used on TL wireless and it works. There is no problems. And for the full customizability, USB 2.0 directly to the motherboard, and you have loads of stuff to go through. Performance-wise, it's really there, but I really want and I really need to have more variety when we're talking about comparison in AIOs for the 9950 X3D. It calls it good. You have the great scores. I can't go against that. I can't say anything about it. And yeah, different design on the fans. I have to admit there's completely different than what we saw from Unifan, so we're gonna touch base with that as well. But the radiator is slimmer compared to HydroShift 1. We have a completely different pump block top. Just one more thing, when you rotate the pump block top in wireless mode in terms of USB dongle or USB 2.0 connected, it literally doesn't do anything. So it only works in offline mode, and that's basically it. I've been using this and benchmarking it in Lian Lancul 217, which is a great case. You have loads of airflow and everything all together. So yeah, that's it. That's all for today. The first video and basically the first product after Computex that was presented at Computex is the Lian HydroShift II LCD-C. This is a 360, comes in black and white. The MSRP is $239.99. So with the LCD, I think that's quite alright. And modifications, possibility to adjust everything when we're talking about the screen are amazing because while giving those three options for you to choose how you're going to connect it, you get three varieties of presets, you get three possibilities to adjust the screen, and of course do it yourself, which is also quite cool if you like to play around with that. Guys, the links and all the details that I might have skipped are in the description below, and don't forget to check the review for the Lancul 217, because after all, this is a great case, and if you're pairing it up with this, it will look really, really clean. Guys, thank you for watching today's video. Leave a comment in the description below if you have something to add regarding the HydroShift 2. Which one do you like more, the version 1 or version 2? Let me know. And finally, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, click the notification bell, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.